Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Beth, and if you're new, welcome. I am working on a little red and green quilt. I'm calling it a Christmas quilt-along, but it's not technically a Christmas quilt. I'm not using Christmas fabrics, but it'll be pretty to pull out in December or any time of the year. So today we are working on this block right here. Let's get started. To begin making my block, I cut strips that were 3.5 inches wide. Actually, mine were a little bit bigger than 3.5 inches, just to give me a little insurance, just in case after sewing everything together I'd be short. I'm going to be trimming down my half square triangles, so a little extra, it doesn't hurt. So 3.5 inches, I need 8 squares of red, or whatever color you're choosing, and then 8 squares of a background fabric. And this fabric is just so pretty. And as you can see, it's not Christmas fabric, it's cherries. And I just loved it. I thought it was so pretty. So I'm going to cut 8 of those, and then I'm going to make my half square triangles. To make my half square triangle, I will be drawing a pencil line down the center diagonally and sewing on either side of that line. Just using that line as my guide on my machine. And I did the first one, and then I decided it would probably be better to sew my squares together one after the other. And then I'll turn it all around and sew on the other side and then cut. Then I'll press, and then I'll sit down and do a little trimming. Now I have 16 half square triangles, and they all need to be trimmed to 3 inches. There's very little waste using this method. I didn't have a lot of little pieces to throw away. And then after getting them all ready to go, I arranged them with the background triangles in the center. And this block is called a mosaic block, and according to Barbara Brackman's encyclopedia, it is mosaic number 10. Then on the outside corners, I put 3 background triangles together right around that outside corner. You could think about pointing a background in and then pointing the other 2 backgrounds next to it. And once it's all laid out, I'll join my half square triangles in rows, and then I'll put the rows together. For my sampler quilt, I want 2 of this block, so I went to my fabric choices and I chose this second background fabric that is more of a Christmas fabric. It has some holly and holly leaves on there, and I chose a red. But after I got it all ready to go, all done, I put it up on my design wall, and I decided the color just wasn't quite right. The red with all that yellow in there, just looked too orange. So this block is not going to be in the quilt unless I change my mind later on. It's going to have to be a pot holder or something in the future. So I'm going to put this block aside, and you'll see I hung it up with the other blocks I've made so far and decided the color wasn't quite right. So I need to make another one after this. So things do happen when you're sewing. You realize, you know what, that one just doesn't quite go. As you can see, when I hung it up on my wall, I thought it sticks out too much. So I'm going to try again with another red fabric. And these sort of look like daisies, this red print. And I'm joining it with my holly background. So this is quite a mixed up Christmas quilt, but I think it'll be fun. This red was just blended in with my other reds a lot better. This is such a pretty block, and it is the third sampler type block in our little quilt along. I'll have a playlist with all of the blocks, and I'm trying to add one block every week. For the next few weeks, we'll do a different block, and I am making 2 of most of them. The last block, it'll just be 1 because it's an uneven number we have. So here are our blocks so far. Next week there'll be a new one. Thanks for joining me, and it's always nice to sew with you. I'll see you next time.